The permanent voter card, PVC, and smart card reader were introduced by INEC to prevent 1. Multiple voting, 2. Impersonation, 3. Voting by proxy, and 4. Election rigging. This is why on election day you must present your PVC for accreditation before voting. The card reader 1. Verifies that the PVC presented at the polling unit is authentic and issued by INEC. 2. It confirms that the bearer of the card is the legitimate owner of the card through the fingerprint matching. With this innovation, it is impossible to vote more than once in an election or use someone's card to vote. Remember, impersonation, voting by proxy, and multiple voting are offenses that can land offenders in jail. B1. Support INEC to organize free, fair, and credible elections. This message is from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC.
Dear youths of my country, do not say, I am broke, I am tired, and I'm hungry. Do not give up now until we find the answers to every how can we move this nation forward. Oh wait, that might sound awkward if we consider the number of such cliches that came without a trace of honesty. But honestly, a few things have changed. I mean, we've evolved from a people who are easily swayed by election mantras, now understanding that a little research about the credibility of a candidate really matters. Yes, we've grown from being quite nervous or voice our opinions, not challenging the authorities to act right, but accept for their minions. Yes, we're on that level of consciousness which audits our leaders, a way to keep them thoughtful about how they should treat us. Okay, see all the campaigns we made victory for, like Not Too Young to Run recently became a law. So yes, a few things have changed, turned in favor of the people, and as a young person, you had better strive to be useful, especially at this time we're talking about voting. Or if you've got your PVC, it's more than an ID in case you haven't noticed. Your civic responsibility, and that's just one out of many, such as wanting to act a seat in the National Assembly. Yes, who says we can't have a better governor or even a young president? When I look across all sectors of the economy, our capacity is evident. Youths living out their purpose and their dreams for Nigeria. See, we've got the numbers, the energy, and can meet the criteria for due representations in positions where our voices must count. So no one ever gets to think we are all lazy and tout. Now, removing every doubt, there is a wake-up call for you to understand the nature of our politics, although not the kind that reeks of selfishness for all the auditors who've seen through the theatrics of calumny and mindless defections. This is the time to set new metrics for winning elections. A time to demand that governance should be driven not by cronyism but ideas, and by people who have truly excelled in their personal careers. This is the time to invest in genuine talents, in fresh voices, in meaningful outcries, all for our nation's sustainable development. Because this is the closest we've come to practicing a full democracy, the inclusion of youth, which makes it complete. This is our time, so do not say, I am young, do not cringe in self-doubt. Be strong, for this country needs us to be more than victims of SARS, to be better than all that was condemned by the rapper files, to be bigger than cheap campaign tools on social media, to bless our future and be profiled as legends on Wikipedia. This is the time to be useful. Don't waste it.
Adora Onyechere, 35 years old. A candidate contesting for the Imo State House of Assembly on the platform of the Action Alliance. A graduate from Irving College, Leicestershire, and the London Metropolitan University, she has a diploma in law and a degree in English language. The multi-award-winning broadcaster is also a mentor and activist committed to gender equality, child development, and the well-being of internally displaced persons. Adora is committed to championing the cause for a more enabling environment for growth across board. She promises fair funding and quality education for schools in her constituency, partnerships to increase internally generated revenue, a more enabling environment for trade to thrive, and a refurbished public health sector in Okigwe. Badebo Rhodes Viva, architect, activist, and public policy expert, 35 years old. The Lagos State West senatorial candidate under the People's Democratic Party. With a bachelor's degree in architecture from the University of Nottingham and a master's from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, he was part of the teams rebuilding New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina and the Beijing Olympics. As an activist, he is known for his stand against genetically modified organisms, as well as his campaign to bring back history as a subject in Nigerian schools. Known as the hopeful Nigerian, he promises that if he is voted into power, He would protect and advance the interests of his constituents, be transparent and accessible, as well as initiating constituency projects, such as an after-school program. He promises to make laws that allow for timely trials of public servants involved in fraudulent activities.
Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, this is the Ready to Run, a live show that highlights candidates who are running for the 2019 general elections. You can be a part of this show by joining the conversation on Twitter using the hashtag Ready to Run. Ready to Run is the hashtag. On Facebook is Ready to Run. The Twitter handle is Ready to Run NG, and our Facebook page is Ready to Run. I've been joined tonight by Badebo Roadsviver, who is 35 years and running for the National Assembly elections, particularly the Senate, representing Lagos West Senatorial District, as well as Adora Onyeche, who is the candidate of the Action Alliance in Imo State, to represent Okigwe State constituency. Before we went on that break, we were talking about your issues. And let me ask you, what are the top 3 things you will do if you are inaugurated in June 2019?
Okay, so I would push for appropriation in partnership with other members of the Assembly to ensure that more ports work efficiently and also decongest Lagos, because it's a win-win. It will make businesses more efficient, it will reduce the cost.
How are you going to push? Are you going to sponsor bills? Or
sponsor a bill and push for appropriation within the budget.
What about motions? Because we know that bills take a long period of time, especially in the National Assembly.
Every attempt that will succeed, any means by which you'll succeed, we're going to do
any
that.
Legal means.
Any legal means, of course. And also work with other members in the National Assembly. That's the first thing. The second thing is healthcare reform. Because in a lot of local governments, we have huge populations with very few healthcare centers, also very little healthcare coverage. So if you don't have the money, you're just not treated. And a lot of people are dying unnecessarily. So try to bring in, even if it's part of constituency projects, bring in community healthcare coverage. That's similar, that's being done in Rwanda. Try and bring that system in.
And the third one?
And the third one is, the main push for me will be education and trying to revolutionize our education system. Because right now, our education system produces consumers as opposed to producers. So that will be a longer fight, but on the short term, we're going to have after-school programs that will practicalize the knowledge that people are getting in school. So you're no longer just cramming and regurgitating.
But if you're
understanding the application,
if you talk about after-school programs, you're not the executive.
No, I'm not.
So
but it can be part of the constituency projects. So constituency
do you think you can deliver on this?
Yes, of course. I don't. Constituency projects.
You're very, very sure, because we've got viewers out there.
Of course.
And those in your senatorial district.
You don't just need money from the government. You have an entire network of people, an entire network of professionals that also partner with
all right, just hold on that thought. Adora, the top 3 things you will do if you're inaugurated as a member of the Imo State House of Assembly and representing Okigwe constituency?
First of all, there is an existing bill that is still sitting in front of the committee of the State House of Assembly, which is considered to be a 10% adjustment revenue from the state budget to be able to appropriate it to the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and that is still sitting there. I believe that if we look at that bill appropriately and look at it, review it, it could be also a wishing wand for us to be able to look at sustainable development for youth, and that is one. And then secondly, also looking at industrialization. Okigwe is the hub, when you look at cashew plantations and also looking at soil tests. We have been able to identify that across the 22 autonomous communities, at least 20 of those communities have special soils that can grow, distinctive plants, even soy, soybeans. And what we hope to do is open up Okigwe to agriculture by partnering with countries who are looking at the next generation of agriculture, like Israel, and which is something we've been talking about.
And the third
one, skill acquisition and employment for young people. And I will start from social reorientation. There is a lot of backward mindset by young people. Yes, and that will be
involved.
Your
responsibility?
That will be part of the priorities involved in the skill development and the skill acquisition, because while you are learning and while you are also trying to get yourself, viable enough to get employment, you should also understand that you have a duty, a purpose to serve your community and not the other way around. Absolutely.
Great. Now, just one last question before I ask you to deliver perhaps your closing thoughts. If elected as a member of whether the National Assembly and the State House of Assembly, would you accept a pay cut if the monies for the legislators is too much, and we're advocating that they reduce the cost for legislators?
I feel that if everybody has to tighten their belt across the government, because our government is currently just extremely large. Our government is not efficient. Now, if this is something that's going to be done across board, I don't see why not. I think that if our system is made to run more efficiently, yes.
So does that suggest that the current salaries of our legislators and the allowances are very high?
You asked if I'll accept a pay cut.
Yes.
I will not say it's very high, because if constituency allowances are used for the constituents, you'll find that money is little or nothing. If you think about 10 local governments, I have about almost 6 million people in my central district, even more, right? And these are people that are trying to actively affect and impact their lives.
Yeah.
So these monies that you're talking about cannot really make a significant impact as you like. But the problem is when people appropriate those funds for themselves, and then that is an issue. And that's not something
you won't appropriate those funds for
I
yourself.
commit
You use
to
them
that.
for the development of the people. Adora.
I believe that, to whom much is given, much is expected. And I often look at this from a two-sided coin. One is the fact that when people are elected to represent a constituent and their constituency and do not appear at plenary, they shouldn't be paid at all, not even talking about a pay cut. Because what you find out is that most of the constituencies that are, ill represented have their constituents, their representations and their representators, not on ground to actually speak their mind. So I believe that if you're talking about a pay cut, yes, a pay cut should be agreed based on the fact that those who are supposed to be working are not working. And for those who are working, you must be able to look at evaluating what they're doing and making sure that if there is a need to increase or decrease at any specific time, then it should be allowed.
Now, there are people watching all over the world on social media and on the TV screens and on their phones, even your constituents and those who are going to vote for you.
Yeah.
What assurances are you giving them that you will fulfill those promises that you're making?
I think for me, first of all, this is not politics as usual, like we've always seen it. Samson, we've done a lot of advocacy, activism, looking at how leadership has failed, and I believe it will be so insensitive to sit here on national television and speak all of this in between the lines and then go back to where the service is needed and still do the usual 360. I think that the most important thing, and my promise, is that we have come to serve. We have come to work. It is not about a privilege. This is not a privilege. This is a responsibility and must be looked at so.
My focus is on delivering quality, accessible representation. Accessibility is a key part of where I'm running, for people to actually feel they are represented, not somebody they see every 4 years. And also to ensure that consensus building is taken into account when we are pushing policy and trying to push bills and motions in the National Assembly. So a lot of accessibility, a lot of feedback loops is what I strive to connect and create with my constituents across the 10 local governments. So it's something where it's a journey that we're going to take together.
Great. Unfortunately, this is where we have to end this segment of the discussion, but it's such a delight to have sat between both of you having this conversation, and thanks for sharing your thoughts about your campaigns with our people. This is that segment where we hold you to account, and every time on this show, every week on this show, we ask our guests to sign the Ready to Run pledge, which is simply affirming that you pledge to run an issue-based campaign that is devoid of hate speech and fake news, and you uphold those principles of patriotism in the course of your campaign. We've got the pledge, and at this point, we'll ask our candidates to sign this pledge, which will be our instrument of accountability. And that's the pledge on your screen. That's the pledge, Gbadebo, who is running for the Senate in Lagos State, and Lagos West to be precise, under the platform of the People's Democratic Party, is signing the pledge. And then we've got Adora Onyechere, who is a candidate of the Action Alliance and running for the State House of Assembly in Imo State to represent Okigwe State constituency. Thanks for signing this pledge, and we will hold you to account.
No problem.
We wish you all the best in your campaign.
Thank you very much.